Hello everyone and welcome to the Rama Llama channel. Today is hashtag Throwback Thursday, so I'm actually going to be covering a January 1980 math problem from the old Regents. Alright, we're going to be doing question 15, and question 15 says find the value of the square root of 40 to the nearest tenth. Okay, now how do we set this up? So there are no calculator usage on the Regents during the 80s, so this is all going to be handwritten out, all right? So we're trying to find the square root of 40, okay? So we don't know what the square root of 40 is, but we do know that it's not a perfect square, so we're going to have some decimal values. Now, when we're trying to find the square root of a non-perfect square, we need to pick a range to work in, okay? So let's see how this is going to look. So we know that the square root of 40 lies between two other perfect squares though. Let's see. Below square root of 40 has to be square root of 36. Above square root of 40 has to be square root of 49. Now we know what the square root of 36 is. That's going to be 6. We know what the square root of 49 is. That's going to be 7. So that means our answer is going to lie between 6 and 7. Alright, so let's try and do some simple arithmetic to figure out like what our answer should look like, because that's the most important thing especially when you don't have a calculator and you're trying to just get a certain answer. You want to know what it's supposed to look like. So let's see, what's the distance from 36 to 40, right? It's going to be 4. What's the distance from 40 to 49? It's going to be 9. So given that the distance from 40 to 49 is larger than the distance from 36 to 40, our answer should be closer to 6 than to 7, okay? So answer should be closer to 6. And it's a little footnote that's up here, unfortunately, that we can keep in mind as we're solving. Okay, let's get to it. So I'm going to let x represent the value that I want to work with to help me figure out the most accurate measurement to the nearest tenth of what the square root of 40 would be. So since it's between 6 and 7, I'm going to go with 6.5. Dead in the center. Okay, so the first step that you're going to do is you're going to divide. You're going to take that number, right, and you're going to divide it by your x. So we have square root of 40 divided by 6.5. Now, because there's a decimal here, we're going to move the decimal over or multiply both numbers by 10 to get just whole numbers. So it's going to be 65 dividing into the square root of 400. All right, let's see. How many times can 65 go into 400? Okay, so I did this math earlier, so I'm just going to skip through it. Turns out that 65 times, let's see, 6 is going to give us 390, which is closest to 400. So we're going to get a 6 here, write 390 here, subtract, we get a 10, put a decimal point, put that 0, bring that down. How many times 65 goes into 100? That's going to give us 1. 65, subtract, just keep going, do your regular long division. We're going to get, let's see, that's going to be 35. Bring down that 0. It's going to be 350. Now, how many times can 65 go into 350? Let's see. 65 times 5 is going to give us 325. So that's going to be a 5 here. 325 minus, it's going to be 25. Bring down that 0. Now, because I need to round my answer to the nearest tenth place, I'm going to divide to the nearest thousandths place. Okay, this will improve my accuracy. If I just stop at the tenths place, I'm not going to get an accurate answer. Definitely not. So I'm going to go to the thousandths place. Let's see, that'll be 250. 65 times 3 gives us 195. That means we're going to stop at 3. Okay, so here I have my result. I'm going to call this y. Okay, so x was 6.5, and now my y is going to be 6.153. Now, what do I do with these two values? This is when I take the average. Okay, so what I'm going to do is the following. Let's remember that when you're taking the average, you are summing however many numbers you have, okay, and then dividing it by however many numbers you have, the arithmetic mean, right? So in this case, we only have 2 numbers, thankfully, so we don't have to do too much of a computation. So we start off with 6.5. We're adding it to 6.153, and we're dividing that by 2. So 6.5 plus 6.153 is 12.653. Divide that by 2. Let's do our long division again. So I'm going to set that up here. That's 12.653. 2 goes into 12, 6 times. We have 12. That's going to be a 0. Bring that 6 down. 2 goes into 6. Bring up that decimal. 2 goes into 6 3 times. That's going to be a 6. 0. Bring down that 5. 2 goes into 5 2 times. It's going to be a 4. Subtract. That's going to be a 1. Bring that down to a 3. 2 goes into 13 6 times. Okay? And here we have our answer in terms of, oh, well, when you take the square root of 40, you know, what are you going to get? We're not going to use all these numbers. Again, we're supposed to round to the nearest 10th, so the square root of 40 is approximately 6.3, and we're good to go. Now, for those of you who may ask the question, oh, well, what happened if we had to round to the nearest hundredths place, you know, not the nearest 10th? Well, this is when this problem becomes very painful. Okay, so what you would have to do is the following. You are no longer using the same x value that you started with, 6.5. You're going to be reusing the x, where you're going to be reusing this value. This actually becomes your new x value. So what would you do? You would start off with x now equals, right, instead of your x being 6.5, all right, let's call this x1. X2 is now going to be 6.326, okay? And how you go about it is, and I already did the calculations earlier, so I'm actually going to run through this. You're going to divide 40, right? That square root, it's not here. You're going to divide 40 by your new x, 6.326. You would get approximately 6.323. Okay, that's actually your new y. I'm going to call that y2. You see how crazy this is getting? So you're going to then find the new average. So again, this is a division step. So divide, you're going to again find the average. I'm shorthanding this. It's going to be x2 plus y2 divided by 2. You're going to do 6.326 plus 6.323. Divide that by 2. That's going to give you 6.324, which is approximately 6.32. Now, if we take this to the calculator, for those of you that are skeptical, right, we're going to do, let's see, square root of 40. I'm going to change that to a decimal, 6.32455, etc. Right? So if I were to round to the nearest 10th place, it'll be 6.3. Now I couldn't use my answer earlier, which was this, 6.326, to round to the hundredths place, because this would have turned this answer rounded to the hundredths place 6.33, and clearly, if we see that, it's not going to be 6.33, it's going to be 6.32. So you needed to do another iteration. This is what we're doing when we're trying to solve for the square root, just this constant iteration of the same method to find the more accurate answer, which is 6.32, which you would get right here. All right, so if you have any questions, leave them in the comment below. Please like and subscribe. Thank you.